In 1969, the #1 pop song in the world achieved something statistically incredible. It blocked some of the most recognized artists in history from the top of the charts. Acts like the Beatles, the Rolling Stones, and even Elvis Presley. The artist that beat them all was the Archies, with their track Sugar Sugar. But the Archies were not organic artists. They were a cartoon band that did not physically exist. Music audiences frequently claim to value absolute authenticity from their favorite artists. We want to know that the sweat on the stage and the ink on the lyric sheet are real. Yet time and time again, we reward completely fabricated, artificial acts with massive commercial success. To understand how a fictional group takes over the charts, we have to draw a clear line between a true fake band and a musical hoax. Milli Vanilli is the standard example of a hoax. You have real human beings deliberately deceiving the public, pretending to be the actual vocalists behind tracks recorded by hidden session singers. A fake band, on the other hand, is an honest fiction. These are acts created specifically for a television show, a movie, or a commercial. They never pretend to be a real, organic group, and the audience is entirely in on the joke. But this creates a strange dynamic. If the band isn't real, someone still has to write the hook and play the instruments. So as we consume their art, at what point do we accidentally make these fictional characters effectively real? The foundational tier on the spectrum of reality belongs to purely animated constructs. These bands are controlled entirely by television producers and network executives. When music impresario Don Kirshner was guiding the Archies, his motivation was simple. He had grown frustrated dealing with the demands of human rock stars, and famously declared that he wanted to work with a band that won't talk back. This process is mechanical. Hidden session musicians manufacture the audio, and that final product is pushed to the public through a brightly colored avatar. This strict separation locks the visual representation away from the creators, guaranteeing total corporate control. At this level, the fake band is pure commerce. There is no organic artistic friction, no creative differences, and no human ego to get in the way of selling records. Moving up the spectrum, we find live-action fictions. Here, the cartoon drawings are replaced by flesh-and-blood actors, serving as the visual avatars for hidden musicians. Bands like Eddie and the Cruisers or the Wonders execute this visual trickery. The faces on the screen match the audio coming through the speakers, but the hands holding the instruments belong to someone else entirely. The illusion gets especially blurry with acts like the Partridge Family. David Cassidy became a massive teen idol, beloved by millions for singing songs he didn't write and playing instruments he didn't actually play on the record. Despite having real human faces on album covers, this tier of bands remains a corporate puppet show. It relies entirely on the audience's willingness to buy into a visual lie. Then there is the third tier, comedic acts that begin their lives entirely as satires of music industry tropes. Spinal Tap was created for a mockumentary film, existing to mock the ridiculous excess and self-seriousness of heavy metal bands. The Blues Brothers evolved from a single Saturday Night Live sketch designed to affectionately parody sharp-suited bluesmen. But then a paradox occurs. These groups record actual albums. They go on massive tours. By overcommitting to the bit, these fictional characters physically cross the threshold and become the exact working rock stars they were designed to mock. The final tier of the spectrum involves a rare occurrence, a manufactured corporate construct that gains sentience and turns against its creators. The Monkees are the prime example. They were explicitly manufactured by NBC television executives to be a controllable American response to the Beatles. Initially, the 4 actors cast to play the band or sidelined in the studio. They were banned from playing their own instruments on the very hits that made them famous. Then they wrested creative control away from their producers, demanding the right to write and perform their own music. The Monkees proved that an artificial television construct could transition into an autonomous group, demonstrating that the barrier between fake and real is often just a matter of who owns the instruments. If we step back and look at the history of pop music, the line between art and commerce has always been a blurry illusion. Almost every real pop star uses a highly curated artificial persona to interface with the public. Performers assume alter egos to create a buffer between their inner selves and the audience. Organic stars hold up a theatrical mask for the crowd. Fake bands simply skip the organic middleman and provide the curated interface, a mask hovering completely on its own. Modern audiences are comfortable with this artifice. We eagerly embrace contemporary constructs, from the animated universe of gorillas to the mockumentary realism of Daisy Jones and the Six. This is the Velveteen Rabbit effect in action. It's the philosophical idea that a manufactured artificial object becomes real when truly loved by someone. If a pop hook is undeniable, the emotion it triggers in the listener is undeniably real. And when millions of people share that exact same feeling, the band's cynical or fictional origins become completely irrelevant.